Hey everybody, it's Brooks here, Senior Pastor, First Baptist Church of the Islands. Thank you for joining me for today's 5 for 5. So this week, we as pastors are going to be talking about the topic of fellowship. Probably you're familiar with that, but for a lot of us, maybe we don't quite understand exactly what fellowship is. It's not necessarily gathering together. Going to the mall doesn't mean necessarily that you had fellowship with everybody else that was there. Fellowship is not even necessarily an event. Our church, like many churches, have an actual space that's called the fellowship hall, but it doesn't mean that every event that happens there accomplishes fellowship, right? It's not just magically accomplished because we're in a room that carries that name, but because we have an event that's called a fellowship event. So what exactly is fellowship? Well, I think we can understand a little better in 1 John chapter 1 down in verse 3. Listen to what John says here. He says, "What we have seen and heard, we proclaim to you also." Now he's talking about what they have seen and heard in regards to their experience with Jesus. What we've seen, what we've heard, we proclaim to you also, so that you too may have fellowship with us. And indeed, listen to this, our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son, Jesus Christ. So there are two components to fellowship there according to that verse. There's a horizontal component between us and other believers, and then there's a vertical component of our fellowship with God and who he is. Both of those play in to fellowship. So what does it mean when we talk about fellowship? It means this, that true biblical fellowship only happens horizontally amongst people who share a common relationship or a common fellowship with God vertically, right? So real true fellowship doesn't happen on a baseball team necessarily. It doesn't happen in a work team, a group of employees necessarily, unless those people share a common relationship with God through Jesus. That's true fellowship. Not an event, not a crowd. It is something that we share in commonality with other followers of Jesus. Look at it this way. Imagine for a moment you've got a container full of little pebbles, right? All of those pebbles are individual, but they're not connected. Let's just say they don't have fellowship. But if you take, glue and you pour it all throughout that container of pebbles and you let it sit and you let it set, what's going to happen is those pebbles are going to be connected, and they're going to be connected forever because of that glue binding them together. Fellowship is like that glue. It's what binds us together. It's a common relationship with Jesus when we are bound with other believers and we have true biblical fellowship. Acts chapter 2, verse 42, the early church, whenever a group of believers placed their faith in Jesus in the city of Jerusalem, Acts chapter 2 paints for us kind of the birth of that early church. And listen to what it says in Acts 2:42. It says, "They were continually devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer." To the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, that was the glue, right? And to the breaking of bread and to prayer. They had what they had because of their relationship with Jesus. They were a church, but they had fellowship horizontally, one between the other, because they shared the most important thing in life, that common relationship with God vertically. So I want to ask you a question today. Do you have that kind of fellowship with God? Have you given your life to Jesus? If not, right now, you can invite him to forgive you and to take over your life. And if the other question of that is, do you have that kind of fellowship with other believers? I mean, are you surrounded by other Christians that you can truly say, you know what, we have a relationship of fellowship. We sharpen one another. We encourage one another. Jesus is at the very center. And are you creating that kind of fellowship? Are you taking steps to have that fellowship in your life? Church is the perfect place to do that. It's a family. And maybe for you, taking a step to be a part of a grow group or a discipleship group, a D group, or some other step to create fellowship in your life. Maybe that's what you need. If you do, take that step today and praise God for the fellowship that he gives you. You have a great day. God bless you.